on the street catches on fire, this is coming to you anyway, right? So it is very much so the idea that you all, you look for each other, look out for each other, and if there is maybe an elderly person that cannot clear out their home, that everybody works together to help them. But the most important part about a Firewise community is that they can also apply for funding from Cal Fire or Cal OES that we have available. The state has put a lot of money into these programs so that they can actually apply for that funding and use that funding to mitigate their entire communities. And so that is very, very important. It's a big program that people can use, and some communities have used it as chipper programs so that everybody can clear out their areas and then bring it over. And so like once a month they do that. This is something that it's an ongoing process. So when we are rebuilding, one of the biggest things that we're telling people, create Firewise communities, create those communities that are going to be able to work together so that we're not here 20 years later.
Oh, that's very important, Firewise community. I like that. Thank you. All right, Quentin, what advice would you offer to businesses that are navigating post-disaster funding?
I think this will be very similar to the pandemic a few years ago, where businesses needed to really pivot and take a look at what they were doing and look at doing it differently, or be creative in what your product is, whether you're a restaurant or you're actually manufacturing something, and find other uses for it. Vermont Slauson is a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, so we make loans. In my last answer, I didn't talk about the loans that we've made in the Altadena market and the Palisades for that matter, where we've suspended payments for a period of time. We've suspended payments for a year for those who don't want to make payments on their loan, and giving them the option, if they want to just pay interest only. We'll probably extend that because of the extent of the damage that's out there. The other thing that I think is important is we're a founding member of a collaborative of Black-led organizations across LA County. A lot of us offer programming to our constituents free of charge. So looking at what the LA Urban League did early on, what the LA Sentinel did early on and is still doing. The work of the Brotherhood Crusade, our work, Kevin bringing us together as Gibson Institute. The work that Robert's organization is doing, and Robert, I can never think of the name of your organization. But, us coming together, and Black, for that matter, us coming together to take an approach that we're supporting small businesses with training or with coaching or with mentors to just help them think through how they pivot and what their business will look like in the future is a big deal. And we haven't given the collective a name yet. We're still going through that. But we meet and there's lots of excitement, and that support really across the board is there. I mean, my organization, for example, is doing 60 webinars a month right now. And you could stack up what the Urban League's doing and stack up what GLAC is doing. There's a lot of support out there. We just got to find a way to publicize it in a much, much better way.
Yeah, we got to get the word out. Thank you. All right, Ms. Aileen, are there legal requirements or incentives for making rebuilt structures more fire resistant or environmentally sustainable? And what recourse do homeowners have if their insurance claim is denied or underpaid? That sounds like two questions.
That's a lot of questions. Well, first of all, I think it's really important to think about the fact that the city only has control of certain requirements. There's a whole bunch of other agencies that are out there that individual property owners are all of a sudden going to be able to find out about, and are going to find out that there's all these regulations and all these fee requirements. So for example, when you're rebuilding a property, all of a sudden someone's going to find out, hey, I've got to pay a school district fee based on the amount of square feet. I hadn't necessarily planned that was something that I was going to do. Another agency that people are going to find out about is air districts. So the South Coast Air Quality Management District's in the process of amending regulations that are gonna affect residential water heaters and heating, air conditioning systems. So all of a sudden, instead of having your traditional furnace, air conditioning unit, there's gonna be a requirement that you have heat pumps. And how many, talk about supply, how many heat pumps are we gonna be able to get into the region in time for people to be able to develop their properties? Another regulation is going to involve water heaters, for example. So we're moving away under South Coast regulations from natural gas water heaters to electric water heaters. And again, where are we gonna find that massive supply that we're gonna be needing to do that? And I think all of a sudden, as you think about these regulations, people are gonna be looking at their insurance, for example, and they're gonna find out, hey, is my insurance just gonna be for me to rebuild the value of my house? Or did I buy insurance that's going to provide that extra amount of money that I need all of a sudden to come into compliance with all of these individual regulations? So I would bet that you're gonna get a lot of issues with that.
Wow.
Can I add something to that, Luke? And also just wanted to make sure that everybody knows, the Department of Insurance does have a very robust consumer assistance program. And so it is very much, we have our 800 number, and I know 800 sounds, you're gonna be stuck somewhere, but it is actually, we have our experts are on, and when you call them, they can actually walk through your insurance with you and make sure that you're getting the coverage that you're entitled to. However, we also have a program where we can help with remediation. We can also help with making absolutely sure that if you don't feel like there's something wrong, your insurance company is not going to back it to you or anything like that. There's a difference between just you making a call to the insurance and for the for the organization that regulates the insurance company makes a call to the insurance, right? So they will be there. They'll be able to call them and help you get all of those things taken care of. We have already helped about 9,000 people throughout this entire time on this, and we are available for you. So please make use of that, because it is something that is you pay for with your taxes.
We've got the inside line. What's your number?
800-927-4357. That is the general number. But of course, if you go into our website, it's just insurance.ca.gov, and you can use that there. Use the claim file a complaint type of paperwork there. But also, if you don't want to talk to anybody, I know that a lot of people don't prefer not to do that. We have a chat feature. You're able to do that there. And of course, my contact information is available as well. If you can just Google, and I'm happy to
Should be
help.
here all day.
Happy to help with that.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, now that my home costs $1 million revealed, Russell, are there any programs or incentives for businesses and residences rebuilding with fire-resistant materials and sustainable methods? Some discounts and incentives.
So I'm gonna take this question, I'm gonna answer it real quick, and then I'm gonna talk about let's get real, right? So there are some programs. If you go to LA County Recovers website, it's the county website. It's really good. It's actually got a good initial kind of like walkthrough. Hey, build your team. Hey, do this. Make sure you have licensed professionals. And there's also an incentives tab, and those incentives tabs really walk you through what's available. Now I will share this. Let's think of the rebuilding timeline as like a bell curve, right? So it's going to ramp up slow, and then as it gets building, it's going to be hot and heavy, and then as we go down the road, maybe 7-10 years from now, it'll taper off a little bit, right? So when you think about that, we pulled our numbers and we said, hey, what's the number one thing that's going to be a problem for you in this rebuilding process? Number one thing was materials. Number two thing was permitting. Then we asked that same question again, what's the second most important thing? It was workforce development, or the lack of a workforce that we're going to need to be able to rebuild these projects. So as ABC is a workforce development training organization where we train 1,300 students roughly about this year in apprenticeship and construction craft trades, we're skilling up the professionals that are needed, but I will tell you there's a lack of us, right? There's a workforce shortage in the state and in the nation. As a matter of fact, we need 439 more skilled trade professionals 439,000 skilled trained professionals across the U.S. to replace the workforce that's going to retire this year. So we need a net gain of 439,000. It's just incredible what the need's going to be. So when we talk about rebuilding and we talk about incentives, the biggest incentive you're going to need is how do I rebuild on time, and how do I rebuild on the budget if I'm rebuilding on a budget that's limited by my insurance payout, right? Or if I've got a little bit of money to maybe rebuild extra, how am I going to rebuild using the amount of funds that I have? And that's where the materials are going to become really critical, because even though there may be incentives to use additional fire safety rated materials, the cost can be really prohibitive. The time and lead time to get those materials may be a little prohibitive, and you might see people adjusting for rebuilding just to be able to rebuild to fit their budgets. And that's where the defensible space will likely become a more preventative addition for businesses and homeowners.
Great, thank you. And now we're gonna take a minute each, and if you could wrap it up with your final thoughts that you'd like to leave with the audience, any additional resources or commentary or something maybe that I didn't ask. So we'll start Quentin and we'll just work our way back.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really long-term thing, and, underestimating what is on the table for people in Palisades and Altadena, we're cutting ourselves short, I think. Creative opportunities for public and private partnerships, universities. This is LA, we can be creative, and we've been here before, after the 1992 riots. So, but nothing has ever happened in this community like this. So I think this gives us an opportunity to be creative. I think there's some impact funds out there, or we could create impact funds to raise money to support people in helping them to get to where they need to be. I don't think the insurance industry as a whole is doing what they should be doing to support the community. So I think it falls back on us, government, corporations, nonprofits, and the like, to actually help and support the community come back in ways that everybody will be proud of.
Thank you. Julina?
One of the things that we are doing is we're working with the legislature to expand some of the things that we have done already. So after a wildfire, in the past, insurance companies would immediately just get rid of a lot of, just non-renew a lot of people. And so we do have a moratorium that we set up, that Commissioner Ara did when he was in the Senate, and so that has actually not allowed insurance companies to drop anyone in those areas, in those affected areas. And so you have 1 year that you can continue, you can continue to keep your insurance, and then also look for other insurance availability throughout. That does not extend to businesses. And so what we are doing is we're working with the legislature to extend that to businesses as well. And so that is, we're doing some of that work now. We're also putting together some legislation to think of, to work on all other programs that will be available to people. One of them is the Safe Homes Act, and it's putting together grants, something like the Brace and Bolt program for earthquakes. And that would be for homeowners to be able to then use that money to mitigate their homes. So what can, because that is expensive, and so how can we do that? And then we're also looking at different types of insurance that could be available, that local community programs can work on, and so that is also that is looking at parametric insurance, just different types of things that could be useful. And so those are the things that we're working on with the legislature right now. But ultimately, if you have any issues with your insurance company, if you have any issues, that you need more assistance, please contact the department, because we won't know if, let's say, if everybody's having the same issue and then you just get over it and move on. If we don't know that is happening, we're not able to address it. So please, even if you can live with it, contact the Department of Insurance anyway, file a claim, let us know that this is happening, so that then we can look into the issue and address it for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, what's that number, 1-800?
The number is 1-800-927-4357.
Good, thank you. And Lee?
I guess I would like to see us get rid of arbitrary limitations. And let me give you one example. People can rebuild their property, they get benefits, but they can only go up to 110%. I don't know what that standard, for example, is based on, but there already are standards in place that regulate what the building envelope can be. And we're really taking away innovation and opportunity to build, for example, ADUs, if we're saying you're not going to get any of the benefits if your property is limited. Also, for example, Prop 13, there's the provisions in there, you know, that if your property is destroyed, you have 5 years to rebuild. But we all know this is going to be, you know, take maybe 20 years. So I think that's a place where we're talking about state legislation that we probably need to extend that 5-year time frame.
Very good, thank you. So,
Yeah, closing thoughts, I want to leave you with two things. One is kind of some data I got from the city of LA just yesterday, so I think it might be helpful for folks to understand. So what's important is folks got to get their phase 1 clearance, and the phase 1 clearance in the city of LA is 100% complete, according to the city of LA building department yesterday. The phase 2, they've had about 3,500 folks opt in and about 1,100 folks opt out. If you haven't opted in or opted out, you really need to do it, because before you go to get your permit, they're going to make sure you need to have your phase 2 clearance. The other interesting tidbit is of the 207 permits that have been applied for in the current fire damaged areas, about 20 have been issued. So there's a little bit moving forward. Be patient. The mayor's executive order, while it's bold and ambitious, is ambitious, right? Be patient, let them get the strike force up to speed, let them do what they need to do. These are processes that have been built over years, and as we all know, when we work with government, these processes can be difficult. And if they can streamline them, roll back regulations, make life easier, we should all take away that lesson. And we should encourage them to always strive to make things easier and find ways to be more efficient, because we should strive for that in everything we do, whether we're government or whether we're business. And the last thing I'm going to leave with you is this, and I don't say this to be, I want to just be sensitive to everyone that may have lost a property in the fires. My sister lost a property in a fire, and from that it gives me a different perspective. She lost her property in Angora fire way back in 2000, I think it was 8. But what I saw come out of it was hope and opportunity. And the hope and opportunity you're going to see for the workforce that's out there is, imagine these individual skilled craft professionals that are out there that now have an opportunity to form a little crew, go work and rebuild maybe some of these homes or some of these businesses, and the entrepreneurship you're going to see out of it. You know, 10 years ago, everyone was all about, let me go work for a startup. If you want to work for a startup today, go work in construction, get a contractor's license, because that is where opportunity exists. And I just want to thank BizFed again for creating this opportunity. This dialogue has been really empowering.
excellent. How about a round of applause? We've got a few minutes of it, but based on all this great information that you guys have heard, do you have any questions? And somebody's got a microphone. Okay, this table here has got a couple of questions. Oh, here she comes. It's Tasia.
Hi there. Can you elaborate on your statement about the 110% and not being able to go over that? Because that is not my understanding of the regulations as they stand in the executive orders.
So what ends up happening is that you can go beyond 110%, but you don't get the benefit of the expedited permitting process and those kinds of things if you're going to, build a lot larger than 110%. And all I'm saying is, what if you're going to put an ADU on the property, and that would cause you to go over the 110%, you'd might be at 115. You still should be able to get that streamlined process, because really what we want to do is get those homes rebuilt as quickly as possible.
So I can't speak for the county, but I know for the city of LA, that is, you can go over the 110% and receive the expedited review process, and an ADU is exempt if you decide to stay at the 110% as an eligible project. And so I think it's super important that we give really clear, concise information, because unfortunately, a lot of people are deciding not to rebuild, thinking that they can't go bigger. And in the city of LA, you can and still get the 30-day expedited review process. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Robert Cicero, President and CEO of Community Build. I'm Robert, I'm the Robert you Quentin was referring to. Can everyone say Community Build? Okay. Yeah, so here's my question, I'm sorry. Important, I want to address this with Julia. First and foremost, the COIN program, as most people don't know, California Organized Investment Network, was the insurance industry's volunteer CRA requirement program. I'll just simplify it. But with Quentin here and other CDFIs, is there a conversation we should be having with the commissioner about redeploying some of those funds as first money in, or partnering with the pension funds as an insurance backfill to urgently deploy cash? Because there's billions of dollars that the insurance companies put into that program, but very little of it hit Southern California. So I'm gonna put that out there. And then with regards to the water heaters, there is a move afoot with local organizations like ours to fight against that SQ, the air quality, because it's gonna cost Californians $300 million a year to implement that electric water heater program. So we are fighting against that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Get the mic. Community Build. Okay, we also have the Urban League in the house, Miss Cynthia. I saw some hands. Oh, back here. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate what you said about hope and opportunity for those of us who are rebuilding, who lost our homes or our businesses or our fourplexes, of which I lost all three. And because people look you in the eye and they say, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. We don't have time to feel sorry for our loss. And it's a little insulting, only because I understand what people mean, but when they look at an investor, they don't say, I'm sorry for your loss. Or they say, oh, this is an opportunity for you. This is a opportunity for the attorneys. This is an opportunity for anyone in construction. They stand to benefit from this. And what are we doing to make sure that those who are paying the cost and have to rebuild can also benefit from this situation? And it's not just a loss, because loss means that we won't recover. And most of us know, not some of us who read that the Bible says beauty for ashes. So yes, I'm looking for the beauty in this, and as those of us who are rebuilding, to make sure that we're not left behind. And the system is this expectation that we won't be able to rebuild, because it's not set up to help us. It's set up to help the investors, the contractors, and you mentioned the issue of the 10% limit. Everywhere I go, they say, oh, as long as you don't build over 10%, you'll be okay. Stay in your place, stay in your position. Who wants to build what they built before? If you're gonna spend all the time to rebuild, why wouldn't you wanna do bigger and better? Or modernize it? Because you have to take the time. We're the ones who have to pay the cost. We're the ones who have to take the time to rebuild, to hire the contractors, to deal with everything that other people benefit from. But they're saying, but we can't benefit, we'll be penalized. My building was built in the 1970s. It's a fourplex, one of them. So 700 square feet for a 2-bedroom. Why would I rebuild that now? 10%, 770? That's unrealistic. People want larger closets, they want larger garages. So yes, that's unrealistic. And what do we need to do for those of us? We're not trying to build a mansion. We're just trying to make it modern by current day standards. Why are we being expected to stay back in the past? And for this community that was built back in the 50s and the 70s, when there were a lot of restrictions against African Americans, why are we now saying we're gonna hold those same restrictions against you when you get ready to rebuild? That is continuing some of the inequalities. And so yes, we do need to address those issues and make sure that we can rebuild without being penalized, without our property tax going up. Yes, they're saying your property tax are going up. That's who made that rule, the limit 10%. Why isn't it 50%? Why isn't it, look at what's standard for a 2-bedroom and based on that? Or what's standard for a 3-bedroom and base it on that? So that is my question. Another thing is power lines. Any new community they rebuild, they put the power lines underground. And as someone who has not only power lines across my property, but a pole on my property. The fire department was on my property the day of the fire, probably most likely because of that pole. Why are we not building the fire lines underground?
You know what, I think the utilities will be addressed in the second panel, and I certainly appreciate your comments, regarding rebuilding, the way that you want to. What did you say, Blaine? I got, what, 2 minutes or 2 questions? Exactly, at 11:30, folks. Okay, who's got the last question? 'Cause I know it's gonna be. Okay, Katie's got it. Okay.
The answers of her question.
What was the question?